So an extremely hard chapter to write. And I could tell you how many words it is now that it's all, the 20 pieces are combined into the official first draft. You know, I could bring it up on the fucking little computer and find out, but I mean, I've brought this up before, but I just want to briefly touch on it again. I'm not gonna, because I don't know what that means. Like, I literally, I'm not trying to be like some fucking writing hipster. I literally don't know what that means. If I give you a number, what does that number mean? What if I said 2,000? What if I said 8,000? What if I said 10,000? What if I said 4,000? What the fuck does that mean? What does it matter? What is the relevance of that measurement? I don't understand it. Everybody talks about word counts, and I feel like if you ask, like, hey, it's pretty cold outside. Oh yeah, how cold is it? Oh, it's like 11 and a half feet cold. You know, I feel like, okay, I mean, I guess that's cold, right? I guess it's cold out. But, you know, that's what I feel like when people use word counts to describe stories. It's like you're using the wrong measurement. You're using a measurement that doesn't actually fit with what you're talking about. And I know people would say, like, well, no, that's not the case, because there are words in a story and you can count them. It's completely appropriate. But I was trying to think of times in my entire life, times that word count has ever mattered. Not just for me, but that I've ever heard of, ever. And I thought of two. The first was when I was in high school, and they made us read Charles Dickens. Tale of Two Cities, was it? Oliver Twist? I don't know. Who gives a shit? Anyway, I did not like it. I was not a fan. And I remember bringing that up round the dinner table, and I remember my dad was like, oh, I like that story. But my mom brought up, like, oh yeah, well, of course it's like wordy and full of fucking filler because it was originally published, serialized in, like, I don't know if it was in the newspaper or in a magazine or something, but it was a serial and he got paid by the word. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess that explains why it's so fucking boring. But that has zero relevance to my fucking life, you know? That's not important. That's literally the Dickensian era when Dickens was writing shit by the word. That's not relevant anymore. But a more recent example, and by more recent, I mean like fucking 40 years ago, but when The Stand came out, Stephen King's book, The Stand, which is a great book. I highly recommend it. Bad ending, but, you know, I think worth it, despite the bad ending. Haven't read it in a long time, but I would happily read it again, and I will sometime. But when that book first came out, it was so fucking big. You know, Stephen King was famous, but he wasn't quite famous enough that they were willing to put out a 1 trillion fucking page book. So they edited it. It had too many words. So they did an edited version, but then it was such a big hit and Stephen King only got more and more and more famous that eventually they just put out the full book anyway, and that's the one you can get now. So that's another case. If you are a publisher of paper books and you're concerned about how big they are, perhaps word count matters. So, you know, maybe you're an editor working for a publishing house. Maybe you're a publisher. Maybe you've time traveled to 1973 and maybe the word count matters. You know, I know it sounds like I'm being a dick here, but I honestly do not understand the obsession with word count because those are the only times I can think of and they're not relevant. Nowadays, you know, bigger is better. If you go to the fantasy section, these books are fucking enormous. And paper books are becoming less and less of a thing anyway. It's probably digital. So, yeah, word count, just, I mean, you know, do what you do. If you're into word counts, go ahead. Like, you know, whatever. But it just, I like roll my eyes when I hear about it. I don't know what it means. I don't understand the relevance of this. But why I want to bring all this up is I actually do have one potential actual reason why maybe word counts could be counterproductive. It's Ellen Brock, who I mentioned way back in the day. She's an editor who has a YouTube channel, and she posted some stuff about different types of writers. So this in particular is the methodological pantser, which I'm not sure if that's what I am, but maybe, where it's like you do have a method and you do have a structure to what you do, but you come up with a lot of it as you go. I mean, I don't know, when she describes there's like 4 different types of writers, 4 quadrants, and I kind of feel like I'm right in the middle, but maybe that just means I don't recognize myself. Maybe I failed to recognize what I am. But in Ellen Brock's video about methodological pantsers, she brought up a good point about word counts and how that can kind of get in the way. If you use word counts to gauge how productive you're being and how things are progressing, it can gum things up during editing because you've trained yourself to think more words are better. So if, say you gotta really rip into something when you're editing, say you gotta cut 10,000 words, to me, I would not give one fuck. I wouldn't even know that I had just cut 10,000 words, you know? I would just, if it's not right, it's not right. If it's not working, it's not working. You know, as I say in my hoity-toity way, to me, it's moment to moment to moment. And if the moment isn't flowing properly into the next moment, then it's gotta change or it's gotta go. But if you just think about things primarily as word count, it's going to really fuck up your ability to cut those 10,000 words because you're going to feel like you just lost 10,000 words. Instead of feeling like you've strengthened the story or that you've gotten rid of a sidetracked appendage that wasn't necessary, you're going to be like, fuck, dude, I lost 10,000 words. And I thought that was a good point. I don't know, just something to keep in mind. Don't get too attached to the numbers because the numbers don't matter ultimately. No reader in the world is thinking about the numbers of the words, like they don't care. No one talks about the word count of books except writers, you know? It's like you're too deep in. You're not seeing the forest for the trees here.